Think about what China is doing in 2026. They are pouring a wall of concrete taller than any building you have ever stood next to. They are adding new rooms to their space station while it flies around the planet at 17,000 miles per hour. They are building a nuclear plant from factory-made parts that snap together like building blocks. They are running trains at 280 miles per hour through mountains so cold and high that workers need oxygen tanks just to stand up. And they are covering 230 square miles of empty sand with enough solar panels to light up a whole country. While other places spend years in meetings just to fix a pothole, China just builds the biggest things anyone has ever made. If you like these videos, please hit the like button because making them takes a ton of work, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. What you are about to see is going to change how you think about what is possible. China is doing all of these giant projects at the same exact time, tying 1 billion people together with massive new roads, rails, and power lines. From the bottom of the ocean to the dark of space, here are the 10 biggest things China is building in 2026, with the most amazing projects saved for last. Number 10. Xi'an East Mega Railway Station. Xi'an is a city people know for its ancient clay soldiers buried under the ground for thousands of years. But right now, China is building something brand new underneath all that history. They are spending 32 billion yuan to build a train station so big it could fit a small town inside it. The hard part is the tunnels. Workers have to dig 22 kilometers under rivers and old burial sites. They cannot break a single ancient piece of pottery above them. It is like threading a needle while wearing thick winter gloves. The engineers use special radar to scan the dirt before they dig anything. They map out every old pot, wall, and artifact so they can steer the tunnels around them. This takes extra time, but it saves thousands of years of history while they build the future. This station is not just a place to wait for a train. It is a giant machine that connects city subways, regular trains, and the fastest bullet trains in the world, all in one spot. During the busiest times of day, a new train pulls in every 3 minutes. Think about how fast that is. By the time you finish a quick snack, another train has come and gone. The whole point is to bring money and jobs to cities far from the coast. Places like Shanghai got rich because ships and trade made them big. But cities in the middle of the country got left behind. This station changes that. Now a factory in central China can send goods to the ocean in just a few hours instead of days. Other countries struggle with this kind of project. New York's Penn Station is known for delays that pile up all day long. People stand on crowded platforms waiting for trains that never come on time. Paris has talked for years about fixing its train stations, but nothing gets done. China just builds a fresh one that works. Smart screens show people exactly where to go. Cameras watch the crowds to stop jams before they even start. When too many people gather in one spot, the screens tell them to move to another area. It keeps everyone moving like water through a pipe. The station also has shops and food courts spread out, so no one area gets too packed. It is a smooth machine that moves people fast, and it sets up even bigger things to come. Number 9. Xiamen Gaoqi Airport Sea Expansion. The city of Xiamen sits on the coast right across from Taiwan, and China is pushing its airport straight out into the ocean. They are spending 55 billion yuan to build 4 runways right on the edge of the water. When it is done, 75 million people will fly through this airport every single year. Building an airport on the water sounds crazy, but the engineers figured it out. They do not need giant walls to hold back the sea. Instead, they use clever design to control the waves and the tides, making flat ground where there was only water before. New roads drop straight into the terminals, so getting from the city center to your flight is fast and easy. This whole project is about making trade and tourism smooth across the strait. By building a giant new airport right next to Taiwan, China creates a fast path for business. People can fly in, and goods can fly out without the usual traffic jams you get at a cramped city airport. Look at other big cities trying to do this. Tokyo's airport is stuck. The city grew up all around it, and there is no room to add anything. London's Gatwick Airport is squeezed into just one runway and cannot grow because people complain about the noise. Xiamen just builds out into the sea, finding space where others see nothing but waves. The airport has huge glass walls that let in natural light. The glass actually gets darker when the sun is too bright, which saves energy on cooling. The control tower uses smart computers to track planes and land them closer together, fitting more flights into every hour without any risk. Phase 2 of this project finishes in 2026, with new cargo areas that will leave rival airports in the dust. The cargo side uses robot carts and sorting machines to move boxes at lightning speed. Fresh fish and expensive electronics flow through this airport to every corner of the world. The runways are built to handle the biggest cargo planes that exist. It is a stretch of coastline turned into a global door, and it is just one piece of a much bigger plan. Number 8. Ningbo-Zhoushan Port Expansion. Ningbo-Zhoushan is already the busiest port on the whole planet. It moves over 1.2 billion tons of stuff every single year. But in 2026, China is making it even bigger and way smarter. They are building new deep docks for ships, so long that 4 football fields could fit end to end along the side. Giant robot cranes roll back and forth on rails, picking up shipping boxes with perfect aim every single time. They never get tired, they never take a break, and they never go on strike. New train tracks connect the port to the Yangtze River, so goods roll from the river straight to the ocean without stopping. The size of this place is hard to even picture. This one port handles 4 million more shipping boxes than Los Angeles and Long Beach put together. Rotterdam is the big port in Europe, and they have spent years arguing about whether to use robots because they worry about people losing their jobs. China just puts in the robots and keeps everything moving. The real secret of this upgrade is the computer brain running it all. A giant AI system watches every single move from the factory to the ship. It spots delays before they happen and changes routes faster than any human could. In the United States, port workers go on strike almost every year, which messes up trade and makes prices jump. China skips all that by running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without stopping. The new docks are dug deep into the ocean floor so they can fit the newest giant ships that carry 20,000 boxes at once. Self-driving trucks carry the boxes from the cranes to the storage lots, guided by lasers and satellites. The port even uses smart power systems that grab the energy from a box being lowered down and use it to lift the next one point. This cuts their power use in half. It is a machine that never stops spinning, but even this giant port has to make room for the energy projects coming next. Number 7. Desert Solar Wind Mega Bases. Out in the dry, empty deserts of western China, something huge is happening. In 2026, 230 square miles of bare sand will be covered in glass and steel. Solar panels and wind turbines will pump out 200 gigawatts of clean power. That is more green energy than all of Germany makes put together. The desert is perfect for this because the sun beats down all day and the wind blows hard at night. But there is a big problem. The sun goes down and the wind stops. China fixes this with giant batteries and huge tanks of melted salt. The salt stays hot for 12 hours after the sun sets, keeping the power flowing all night long. Getting the power to the cities is just as hard. They are building 1,100 kilovolt power lines that carry electricity 1,860 miles to the coast. Almost none of the power is lost along the way, which is almost hard to believe. In California, solar projects in the desert get stuck for years because people protest about endangered animals and power line routes. China just builds the whole thing in a few months. The clean power links up with dams and nuclear plants to replace coal. It fuels the millions of electric cars and giant data centers that run the internet. Here is something cool. The solar panels sit a few feet off the ground, which makes shade under them. Grass and plants start growing in dirt that was dead sand for thousands of years. The panels actually turn the desert green and stop dust storms. Farmers bring sheep to eat the grass and keep it short so it does not block the sun. It is a perfect circle of energy and nature working together. The site is so big that robots clean the panels by themselves, wiping off the dust. Smart computers turn the wind turbines to catch every gust of wind. What used to be empty waste becomes a busy place that makes power and jobs. But they still need something stronger to back it all up. Number 6. Lhasa-Nyingchi Tibetan Plateau Rail. China is running a high-speed train line through the Tibetan Plateau. This is a place so high up that the air is almost too thin to breathe. Workers wear oxygen masks just to stay on their feet. The route goes through mountains that rise 5,000 meters into the sky. Avalanches can come down at any time, and the ground shifts without any warning. This is the roof of the world, and every engineering book says you cannot run fast trains here. The air is too thin for train motors to cool down. The cold is too bitter for normal tracks, but China is doing it anyway. They are turning a 2-day drive into a 1-hour train ride. The train cars are sealed tight and pump in extra oxygen so riders stay comfortable. Normal air at this height makes people sick and dizzy, but inside the train it feels like sea level. The tracks are heated so ice does not build up and send the trains sliding off the rails. They bored tunnels through frozen rock and built bridges that can shake with the ground without breaking. India wants to build train lines through the mountains too, but they get stuck fighting with villages and green groups over every piece of land. Switzerland has trains in the mountains, but they crawl along at 60 miles per hour for tourists. China is running a bullet train through a place that tries to destroy everything that enters it. This train line changes Tibet overnight. It brings fresh food, medicine, and jobs to people who have been cut off from the world for hundreds of years. Tourists who were afraid to drive the dangerous roads can now ride safely through amazing canyons. Local foods like yak butter and special mushrooms can reach stores in the big cities while they are still fresh. The train crosses 10 big rivers, and engineers built huge bridges over every single one. The pillars go deep into the frozen ground. If the ground melts, the bridge falls. So they put cooling pipes inside the pillars to keep the dirt frozen solid for good. The train cars are painted with special paint that blocks the harsh sun at that height. Every tiny detail was planned to beat the toughest place on Earth, but moving people around is only half the story. Number 5. Guangzhou Pearl River Delta New Airport. China just approved a brand new airport from scratch in the city of Foshan. They are spending 400 billion yuan to build it. It will have 4 runways and handle 60 million passengers plus 2 million tons of cargo by the year 2050. The goal is simple. They want to take the crown from Hong Kong and become the top airport in the whole region. London's Heathrow has been fighting for 20 years just to add 1 runway. New York's JFK is still patching up its old buildings while people fight over noise. China just builds a fresh giant from the ground up. The new airport links right into the fast train lines, city subways, and boats on the river. You can get off a train and walk straight to your plane in 10 minutes without ever going outside. Smart bag systems track every suitcase with tiny chips. Flying drones carry boxes between buildings. Electric trucks replace the smelly diesel ones that choke workers at old airports. The old Baiyun Airport in Guangzhou is getting a 5th runway too. It uses face scans and smart scheduling to cut delays down to just 15 minutes on average. That is the best in the whole world. While America's Newark project is stuck in court, and Berlin's airport took 14 years and twice the money just to open, China just gets it done. The Pearl River Delta is where everything in the world gets made. This new airport gives those factories endless room to ship things out. The area becomes the king of trade. There are no crowds protesting or blocking things. They just use fresh land and build new roads that feed planes that never stop flying. The building is so big it has gardens inside. People can sit by real trees and waterfalls while they wait for their flight. The gates can handle the biggest planes with double decks that load people from top and bottom at the same time, cutting boarding in half. The control tower uses screens that see through fog and clouds. It is a total rethink of what an airport can be, but getting around is just part of the plan. Number 4. CR450 high-speed train. China's CR450 train goes 450 kilometers per hour. That is 280 miles per hour, and it does this while flying through mountains. The front of the train is shaped like a needle to cut through the air. This cuts drag by 30% compared to the old trains. The body is made from carbon fiber, which is super light but really strong. Being light means the train can speed up fast. A trip that used to take all night now takes just a few hours during the day. France's fastest train tops out at 320 kilometers per hour on flat, easy ground. Japan's bullet train does about the same. China is way ahead of both of them. The engineers had to rethink almost everything to make this work. The brakes use magnets so they still work, even if the wheels give out. The train has a smart suspension that reads the track ahead and smooths out every bump before you even feel it. The power system pulls 22 megawatts of electricity to keep the train steady at speeds where the air itself becomes a problem. The cabins are sealed tight, so your ears do not pop when you blast through a tunnel at full speed. This train is built to replace short flights between big cities like Beijing and Shanghai. It means less oil gets burned, and factories far from the coast can send parts to the ocean the same morning. China already has more train tracks than the rest of the world put together. This new train makes that lead even bigger. Business people save time, and goods arrive fresh. Cities that used to be in the middle of nowhere are now just 3 hours from the biggest cities. This spreads money inland instead of keeping it all on the coast. The tracks have to be perfect to the millimeter. At 280 miles per hour, even a tiny shift could be deadly. Lasers check the tracks every night to make sure they are straight. The train brings the whole country closer, but the next project goes even faster, straight up. Number 3. Linglong One nuclear reactor. Here is the one that changes everything. In 2026, China turns on Linglong One. It is the first small nuclear power plant ever built from factory parts. They put it together on Hainan Island in just 5 years. America had a company called NuScale that worked on a small reactor for 15 years and then gave up and downsized. Europe has a design from Rolls-Royce that will not even be tested until 2030. China just built the real thing and turned it on. This reactor makes 125 megawatts of power. It is built for places that cannot plug into a big power grid, like islands, small towns, and faraway factories. The best part is the safety. If the pumps break, the physics of the plant just shuts it down by itself. No person has to run in and fix anything. The reactor core sits in a pool of water deep underground. The water soaks up the heat on its own, with no power or pumps needed. Even if everything breaks and everyone leaves, it stays safe. The parts are made in a factory, so they are perfect every time. Building nuclear plants on site is messy and slow. Weather causes delays, and workers make mistakes. Factory parts avoid all of that. The United States spent $35 billion on a giant reactor in Georgia that was 7 years late, and they canceled other projects too. China stamps these out like cars on a line and ships them anywhere. The reactor comes in a sealed steel box that is its own shield. You drop it in a hole, plug it in, and it runs for years. When it runs out of fuel, you pull the whole box out and send it back. It makes nuclear power as easy as swapping a battery. Islands in Southeast Asia, mining towns in Africa, and research bases in the Arctic can all get clean power now. It cuts pollution and helps poor countries grow without waiting 20 years for a giant plant. It is a total game changer, but the next project is a giant that towers over everything. Number 2. Shuangjiangkou Dam. In the mountains of Sichuan, the ground shakes all the time. Big quakes are just part of life there. And right in the middle of all that shaking, China is building the tallest dam anyone has ever made. It stands 315 meters high. Think about a building with 100 floors, and then stack a few more on top. That is how tall this wall of rock and concrete is. No dam in the history of the world has ever reached this high. The project took 10 years and cost 36 billion yuan. Workers dug out entire hillsides of rock to build the base. They had to send the river flowing through giant tunnels cut into the rock while they worked on the site. Then they poured layer after layer of concrete. But they had to be careful. Concrete gets hot when it dries, and if it gets too hot, it cracks. So they put pipes inside the wet concrete and pumped ice water through them to keep everything cool. The result is a giant pool of water behind the dam that catches rain during the wet season. When dry times come and rivers run low, this dam keeps making 2 gigawatts of power so factories do not go dark. Here is the clever part about the design. Instead of a stiff wall that could crack when the ground shakes, this dam is made of loose rock that can move and settle. When a big quake hits, the dam absorbs the shake instead of fighting it. The base goes 70 meters down into solid rock, held in place by steel cables as thick as old tree trunks. Over 3,000 sensors are buried in the dam, watching every tiny movement and every drop of water that leaks through. Smart computers study all that data and catch problems long before any worker would notice. This one project cuts 7 million tons of pollution every year and keeps the lights on for millions of homes. It also stops floods that used to wash away whole towns down the river. Other countries stopped building dams like this a long time ago because of lawsuits and protests. China just built the biggest one ever, and the last project on this list leaves the ground completely. Number 1. Tiangong Space Station Expansion. China is making their space station twice as big. Right now it has 3 main rooms floating above the Earth. By 2026, it will have 6 giant rooms all linked together, racing around the planet at 17,000 miles per hour. This will be the biggest home anyone has ever built in space. The old space station, run by the United States and its partners, has been up there for 30 years, and it is wearing out. It is supposed to be crashed into the ocean by 2030 because it cannot last much longer. China's station will be the new king of orbit. Up there right now, Chinese astronauts are doing spacewalks to add new rooms and labs. They use a robot arm called the Xi'an arm that works like a giant hand. It can grab incoming supply ships and move heavy gear around outside the station. It does all of this while the temperature drops to -200 degrees, and radiation from the sun blasts everything. New ships called Mengzhou will carry 7 astronauts at once. They will rehearse moon trips and do research around the clock on everything from new medicines to plants that can grow in space. The station cleans its own air and water, reusing 98% of everything. That means a crew can live up there for 6 months without needing a delivery from Earth. The old station needs constant supply runs just to keep going. Building things in space is incredibly hard. Every piece has to be perfect when it leaves the ground, or it is gone for good. One small mistake and years of work just float away into the dark. But China connects everything with robot arms and bolts so precise they measure in millimeters. This is not a quick trip for fun. It is a real factory in space. They test new materials that can survive radiation and grow crystals for medicines that cannot be made on Earth because gravity pulls them apart. The new rooms are so big, they need giant rockets to carry them up, each rocket lifting 20 tons in a single trip. The solar panels that power the station are as big as tennis courts, turning to catch the sun and keep everything running. It is the ultimate proof that China is building the future everywhere, from the deepest valley to the darkest part of space. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. There are more great videos on your screen right now if you want to keep watching. So here is my question for you. Which of these 10 massive projects surprised you the most? And do you think your country could build even one of them by 2026? Tell me in the comments down below. I read every single one.